Okay, and I'll call this regular session of Mayor and City Council meeting at 6:02 p.m. on Wednesday, January 4th, our first meeting of the year. Thank you and welcome everyone to this meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing after that for the invocation. Thank you. Commander Diaz, would you lead us in the pledge? Councilman Diaz?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes, I guess we have the Reverend David Lopez giving the invocation. Thank you, Reverend.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the city of Nogales. We thank you for giving us a new opportunity in 2017. Heavenly Father, we pray that you bless this city. Heavenly Father, that you give wisdom to the administration that will bring wealth, safety, and not only to our families, but to the businesses, to the next generation. Heavenly Father, we pray, Lord, for uniformed men and women that guard this nation, wherever they're at. Heavenly Father, that you be with them, that you be with their families. Heavenly Father, at this time, Lord, we pray for wisdom and knowledge that has this administration will bring, Lord, not only the best for our city, but also, Heavenly Father, would also bless those people that are in need. Will bless those people. It's going to reach out, Lord, to the north, to the south, to the east, and to the west. Mayor Doyle and Councilman, may the Almighty God be with you. May Elohim Adonai be with you on the highways and the byways. May Jehovah Shalom be in your place of business and in your place of dwelling. God bless you, Nogales. In 2017, we will see the best year that this city has ever seen. God bless you. Amen and amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor, for the invocation. Before we go to the call of the public, I just want to know that maybe some here are not aware that we have a new face in the council. And we'll start again from that. We have Councilman Diaz who's been with us now for a while. But we have a new face, as though he's been here in the past. We have Councilman Nogales, welcome on board for this term. We have Dr. Barona, Councilman Barona, welcome on board for this new term. We have our Vice Mayor has been with us, and we have Councilman Rojas has been with us, and we have a complete new face, because I know that Councilman Barona has been a councilman in the past and a former mayor of the city of Nogales. So there's a lot of experience here. We have one new face, and we welcome him because he really represents the public for the first time. Councilman George Maldonado, welcome aboard. Again, your mayor, Juan Doyle, and you know everybody else here, from our city attorney, Mr. Machado, to our city manager, Mr. Rivera, and of course, Letty has been so faithful over the years as the city clerk. Again, I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of the new faces, and thank you for being here tonight. As we go talk to the public, let's see, I see here, Mr. Chamberlain, would you like to take the podium and state your name and address?
Ivan Chamberlain, 1670 North Iron Gates Drive in Nogales, Arizona. Thank you all for listening to me in the time. I want to welcome everyone also to the new council members. Looking forward to working with you all. I just had a few things for future agenda items just to throw out there and a few ideas. A couple of years ago, the overweight monies that are assessed at the border for overweight trucks coming into Nogales, part of that money was used for a study to widen 3 bridges here in Nogales, Calle Sonora, Donna Avenue, and Gold Hill Road. The results of that study, from what I was told, have been submitted to the city about just before Manager Shane Gilly left. and the results of that study have not been shared with anyone. At the time, we got together with a few councilmen and the mayor to talk about it, and the commitment was that we were going to see the results of that study to see what kind of funding we could get in order to widen the three bridges of Gold Hill, Sonora, and Donna Avenue. Those are three bridges that are in dire need of repair and widening. There have been many accidents in that area, and with the necessities of the businesses that are on the east side of those bridges, and also the residential communities that are on the east side of those communities, we believe it's extremely important to continue with that type of research as far as what we can do. So I would ask that if on a future agenda that can be addressed, and if the Fresh Produce Association can help you in the decision-making process of the bridges and that study. So that's number one. I don't know if anyone had any questions to that. But also for future agenda items, I'd like to see if there's a possible way to have a city ordinance for cleanliness or for facilities and businesses and buildings that are in dire straits of repair and have been abandoned. I know that you had a city ordinance that was invoked and enforced for the building across the street, at least partially, but there are other buildings across Nogales that are in the same shape or in worse shape. One being WP Market, what used to be WP Market at the entrance of Monte Carlo. It's absolutely an eyesore. So some sort of ordinance that actually has some enforcement to that, if that could be on a future agenda and to be discussed, would be greatly appreciated as far as the business community is concerned, and in attracting new businesses to come in here and retaining businesses that are also here. So the image problem as far as the cleanliness and the buildings that are around here are extremely important for those things. Another thing I wanted to ask and to put on the agenda for a future item is maybe the city's work in helping or in asking Union Pacific to help with the cleaning of their easement between Grand Avenue and the railroad tracks. All along both sides of Grand Avenue. It's probably, I don't know if it's exactly all UP easement or if it's partially a state easement also, probably is. But regardless, on both sides of the Grand Avenue, which is the main street to our community, is extremely dirty and extremely it's an eyesore coming into the city. So those are three things that I would like to suggest to the council to bring up in an agenda or as agenda items, or if they can discuss among themselves, and that'd be perfectly fine. And if there's anything that I can help personally in representation from the Fresh Produce Association, or representing the Port Authority, or representing the Arizona Commerce Authority, or the Arizona Mexico Commission, I'm at your service for any of you for any questions or any help that you may need.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate it. Mr. Mayor. Dr. Barona?
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Rivera, I'd like to request that for our meeting of February the 1st, that the following items be placed on the agenda. 1, the overweight money study for possible funding for the three bridges as mentioned by Mr. Chamberlain. 2, the city ordinance for abandoned buildings. And 3, Union Pacific's cleaning of the easement on Grand Avenue and the railroad track. Mr. Mayor, please make sure that those 3 items are placed on the agenda on February the 1st.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Barona, thank you very much. Going to another call to the public. We have Mr. George Nava and Ms. Pamela Blondell.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is George Nava. Congratulations to the council members that were recently elected and sworn in. And Councilmember Maldonado, when you have a full house like this is usually a very good thing or a very bad thing. So, congratulations on being elected. I should tell you that I'm also an elected official for the city of Brawley, a two-time mayor. I've been on city council nearly 10 years. California? Brawley, California. So if you're ever in Imperial County visiting, please visit me in the city of Brawley. You're my guest, and I'd like to show you around our community. No, certainly. Appreciate the time to speak here today. So I'm here representing Arizona Lifeline, as Arizona Lifeline here in Nogales, in the city of Nogales. We've been in operation here for about 9 years, and I'm here to introduce Ms. Pamela Blondell. She's our membership manager for the area, for the county of Santa Cruz. And in fact, this morning we presented briefly to the supervisors there. And what our division does, we are the membership division of Air Medical Group Holdings. Air Medical Group Holdings owns many companies, one of which is Arizona Lifeline that operates here. We provide air ambulance transportation across the country, but we provide it here in the city of Nogales, and we do approximately 300 flights out of the area here every year. The reason we are around is to promote our membership plan. We do that in the areas that we serve and we represent. As you can imagine, aviation and healthcare being two of probably the most highly regulated business environments there is, flights are very, very expensive from Nogales to Tucson. For example, you're looking at a flight cost of $40,000, give or take. In other parts of California and other parts of the country, flights can be as much as $65,000. So even with the best insurance plans, Cadillac insurance plans we call them, many people are left with a balance bill. So our division, our membership division, is the largest of its kind in the country. We have nearly 3 million members. And the reason I brought Pamela here with me today is because she's a representative of our organization, and she will be working in the city of Nogales and in the county of Santa Cruz and in neighboring counties. Our membership plan is often offered as an employee benefit, and it's very inexpensive. It's about $65 a year, and it covers everybody in the entire household. While that may sound too good to be true, we obviously have many members. We still bill insurance, but we ensure that the money that normally flies out of your communities stays here. What I mean by that is oftentimes when people are left with a balance bill, they make every effort to pay those balance bills, and so the money that they can't spend locally in your communities is often gone. I know this from my own experience. In fact, we've had a base location in Imperial County, where I'm from, for about 9 years, and about 2 months ago we added a base in my community because there was just tremendous demand for the services. And so when I see, that in fact Imperial County does about 1,200 flights per year in that area, so you can imagine the costs that I spoke about. If people receive a balance bill, there's a lot of money flying out of your community that isn't being spent there. So I don't want to make it too much of a sales pitch, but I did want to inform you that Pamela will be working here in the area. Obviously, I'm not local to the area. She is. And she's a representative with a background in healthcare, and she's going to be hopefully helping many of your residents out here and informing them of the membership program and working with local city officials, working with local business owners, and of course just the general public in getting the message out. We also are working, just so you know, with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, with the Nogales Chamber of Commerce, and other chambers of commerce in neighboring counties. So we're going to do our very best to be a good business partners and corporate, although we're a large corporate entity, we'll do our very best to do everything with integrity. And I think if you ask locally, I think we have a pretty strong reputation in the operations division. The operations division, which is Arizona Lifeline. So anyway, thank you for the opportunity to speak. And again, if you're ever in Imperial County, passing by El Centro near Brawley, I welcome you as my guest. Feel free to stop by and look me up. We can certainly show you the area, take you out to the Glamis Dunes, or even enjoy a meal out there. So great to see a packed house. I really do enjoy seeing that. Pamela, would you like to add anything, just other than maybe saying hello?
Hello, good evening. I'm just wanting to let you know I'm extremely excited to be working with all of you, and I hope I can get maybe a little time with each and every one of you just to talk if you to answer questions if you have any.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Please excuse us. I'm going to increase your alcohol sales tax.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Nava, and thank you, Pamela. I guess that's pretty much this call to the public, so we'll pass the paper calendar. And we have some presentations tonight, starting with letter A, presentation of flags, the parade of light winners. We believe we have, starting with third place, we have Cocina La Ley. We have some representation, Cocina La Ley. Oh, there we go. Felicidades, felicidades. Gracias por su participación y por agarrar una de los awards, de las placas. Hicieron un buen trabajo. Gracias. Muchas gracias. Tenemos también para segundo lugar, tied for second place, J. Mitchell School and Wade Carpenter Middle School. So this would go to Wade Carpenter. Congratulations. Great job. Thank you. I heard so many good comments about it.
Thank you for participating.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for your participation. And this is the one, okay. Now this is the other second place that we had, and it was City of Nogales Holiday Light Parade celebrating the Prince of Peace. This parade, second place, A.J. Mitchell. And I knew there was going to be a tie, and there you are. Congratulations to them. Pictures, hold on. Definitely. Thank you. Everybody get their snapshot? There's a few more there. Thank you. Congratulations again. Congratulations. And thank you. And I know that this one was, I guess they went the extra yard for first place. That's again City of Nogales Holiday Light Parade celebrating the Prince of Peace. For the best of parade, first place goes to Challenger Elementary School. Thank you. And you have your mayor and council right there. Pero felicidades. Thank you for that outstanding job.
Thank you for participating.
And congratulations.
Very good job. The Challenger Rocket was one. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks again. Great job for all the participants and the award winners. I also want to take this time for everybody that participated, volunteering, helping the parade to be such a success, and for staff that worked so hard, directing the volunteers, and just everything going so smooth. And again, I want to thank also for our downtown Christmas tree that was decorated by staff, was led by one of our citizens of our community that's always ready to help the city out. And that was Mrs. Sandra Corey, that has such a gift, such talent for decorating. And under her eyes and her direction, our staff was able to work together with her, and I think this is the most beautiful Christmas tree we've had decorated so far. I might be wrong, but it sure gave us that impression, and we were so pleased, and we still have it out there. If you haven't seen it, please go out there. It's still going to be left for the rest of the week. We won't take it down probably till Monday. So you have still a few days and over the weekend just to enjoy it. I hope these continue to keep it lit, because at least till Friday, that's the day that the wise men celebrated. Magos, I guess. El Día de los Santos Reyes, I'm sorry. El Día de los Santos Reyes. So you're going to have, at least for a few days, the Christmas tree lit. Enjoy it, drive by, take some pictures, keep those memories alive. Going to our next item, we have also recognition to city employees, Susan Haddock and Jesus Gomez. We have both of them. They're supposed to be for some reason, Jesus Gomez wasn't put on the agenda, but he's one of our also employees that's going to be recognized tonight. So, Mrs. Haddock, if you'll go ahead and come forth, I want to thank you. I want to say a little bit of your life here. Susan started working, was hired by the city in September 1990 as a librarian. She was promoted to library director in 1994. She served in this capacity for 22 years. Thank you so much. 26. 26. Oh, I'm sorry. No, they made a mistake. It's not mine. 26 years. But we'll correct it. For 26 years, she served, and Suzanne was able to work closely with Santa Cruz County to operate the county library system, which includes libraries in Rio Rico and Tubac and Sonoita. Suzanne represented the city well for 26 years. Oh, I guess that's where they put the 26. That's okay. But now she has decided to move on to enjoy the fruits of her labor among the retirees of this community. So we hope to be seeing you in the near future. Come visit us. Don't forget we're here. We always like to see that beautiful smile that encourages everyone. Thank you so much, Susan. Susan, recognition, sincere appreciation for your 26 years of dedicated service to the city of Nogales. We hereby thank you. You have my name and the council's name here to honor you and thank you for the service that you've given the city of Nogales and the citizens of this community. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
And Mayor, Susan also went to high school with Robert Rojas, myself, and Joe Diaz.
I was there.
Oh, yeah.
I
We didn't say too much to the mayor because he was always out and about.
Thank you, Susan. And I guess the other employee we're going to also recognize tonight is Jesus Gomez, known as Chino Gomez. Thank you for being here tonight and giving us the opportunity. I guess the chief's going to say a few words there. And
Good evening, Mayor. Vice Mayor Lucero and members of the councilmen, members of the audience. It's a privilege and honor for me to be the one to recognize Jesus Gomez. Jesus Gomez, better known as Chino in the community, began his career as a law enforcement officer with the City of Nogales Police Department, and then later he became an officer with the Sheriff's Department. On August the 24th, 1988, Chino began his career with the City of Nogales Fire Department, and just recently retired Friday, December the 30th, 2016. During these 28 years of service, he has worked diligently in making businesses safe for our citizens, customers, and to our personnel. He began his career as a firefighter EMT, then he stepped into the position of fire inspector, then he held the position as the training and EMS captain, then again as the fire marshal. In his last rank, he retired as the division chief of fire prevention. In 2003, he participated in the recovery efforts of the Columbia Space Shuttle in Texas. In 2005, he actively assisted in treating the victims affected by Hurricane Katrina. He was part of the Arizona Disaster Medical Assistance Team,
He was also a member of the Terrorism Liaison Officer of the state of Arizona. His position as fire marshal is one of the most unpopular and unappreciated position in the fire service, and especially with some of our customers here, because he is the code enforcer. Chino was perfect for that position, and he followed the book to the T. Most of our customers can attest to that, but all in all, he did a good job. His expertise, commitment, and service will be truly missed by all of us. I want to say thank you for your service and your commitment to the city of Nogales and to the Nogales Fire Department, but most for your friendship. I want to say thank you and congratulations in your future.
I don't know if I can, come on, both of you, because I know you guys have made quite a team over the years. And I heard roughly about 28 years of service with the fire department. But as far as I remember, Chino was on board with the city way before that. I know I used to come visit my brother when he was mayor. You were already on board, but that was 30 years ago. So I think you were with the PD at the time. So I don't know how many years you put in with the police department, but I know that your service to the city goes further back than what we're honoring you for tonight with the fire department. So we want to include all those years and all those services that you've done for the city. But you're getting the great award not only for all your service, city, but I don't think the PD has an axe like this. This is from the fire department, and this take down those doors and those places of problems where it was smoldering and whatnot. But it reads, Jesus Chino Gomez, for your commitment and dedication, 28 years of service for the Nogales Fire Department. And again, thank you so much for the jobs you've held here in Nogales and for those few years that go back also to PD. I'm sure the PD department wants to also thank you for your faithful service to them. Thank you so much. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. I guess we're going to continue then. Aside from these presentations, we still have a presentation to Mayor and Council and the public on a year-to-date projects and activities of the Planning and Zoning and Building Department. Thank you, Mr. Frank Dillon.
Mr. Mayor, good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. It's nice to, first of all, Happy New Year. It's nice to see you guys again, and it's nice to meet you, who I haven't met yet. Frank Dillon, I'm the Director of Planning and Zoning and Building. Let me get this thing. One sec, sorry. Okay, thanks for taking the time to hear this update on the Planning and Zoning and Building Department. I'm going to keep it brief and kind of go through some of the things that we've achieved in the last year. First, I'd like to start with a summary of completed projects. As you can imagine, they've been predominantly warehousing projects. Some of those include Divine Flavor Warehouse, Sephora Warehouse, Goodwill, Suarez Brokerage Warehouse, 11 Acres, Fry Carrillo, SOAC, and following that, we have some new commercial developments as well. Lots of retail and service and tenant improvements. Some of those include the new Forever 21 building, the Lava Car Wash, the Big Five Sporting Goods tenant improvement, and then following that, we also have adaptive reuse projects for housing and office. Most of you are familiar with the Bowman Senior Residences, and we also have the Foxworth Nogales Community Development offices. Currently, we have some plans under review and or projects under construction. Again, some of those include warehouses, like Ochoa's warehouse, the DQP tenant improvement and new warehouses. Also, Compras USA and the 11 acre second warehouse spaces as well. As far as the commercial retail and service and tenant improvements go, we have the Suspiros Pasteleria, Tractor Supply Co. currently under review. And then we also have the Tacos and Beer tenant improvement. Currently, we're also reviewing 3 residential subdivisions as well, and 1 industrial subdivision for an industrial park. So I'm not going to bore you with all these details and numbers, but from January 1st, 2016 to December 30th, 2016, we issued 75 total commercial permits at a total valuation of $8,328,915. And essentially, we've broken those into these categories here as far as new buildings, additions and alterations, commercial remodels and tenant improvements, commercial demolitions, and electrical and plumbing permits that have been issued. Again, moving on to residential, same permits, same categories, excuse me, except for in this category, we've issued 181 total residential permits at a total valuation of $3,728,094. Moving along, another important thing to talk about is dangerous building abatement. And as Mr. Chamberlain brought up earlier, we haven't gotten around to all of the dangerous buildings in Nogales, but we feel happy that we've started making progress on some of these that have been an issue in terms of health and welfare, and also, as Mr. Chamberlain mentioned earlier, eyesores. I think we all remember on Grand Avenue the Walter Home cold storage building earlier this year in June. Our team was successful in getting the property owner to abate those violations, which is fantastic. The demo is good that the city didn't end up having to incur any of those costs. And then other dangerous building abatements are relatively minor. We've got a few that have been handled already. Calle Coronado, collapsed roof, Western Avenue, missing portions of the building, and Factory TVU was another major one that we were successful in getting removal of the sign in terms of falling debris into the right of way. Some of the larger dangerous buildings, some of the abatement is a little bit more complex. Also, with some of the residential, contacting property owners is a little bit more complex. So we have a few on the queue. Some of you have probably seen and or reported, and we're currently working on the abatement of some of those. We're just trying to track down some property owners. With respect to process improvement, some of the things that we've implemented thus far, we're striving to provide applicants with clear application requirements and checklists. We're doing courtesy reviews on more complicated projects, which essentially provides applicants and us as staff internally to gain a better understanding of what the proposal is. And it helps us manage expectations from the get-go with respect to what an applicant is going to need to submit. And it gives them an idea of how far along a process they actually are. A lot of times people want to submit things prematurely, and this is a good way to kind of help them submit complete applications. Another thing that we've done is created a immediate notification process when an application is incomplete by providing written notice of application deficiencies. This is really important because it, again, goes back to managing expectations and customer service. That way things don't sit in the queue for too long without people being notified that there's an issue. We've also been striving to improve project review times and consistency with our Arizona revised statute timeframe policy. This is good because the more that we can try to beat the clock, the better. I think all applicants will agree with that. The sooner the better that they can get permits and get moving on construction, the better, and better for us as well as we can keep new projects coming in. Another thing that we've done is we've created a development review coordinator for more complicated projects. So the idea behind this position is that in the Public Works Department, or as you all are aware of, many development projects are very complex, and they involve many different departments in coordination with Santa Cruz County flood and fire and things like that. And so previously the applicant was essentially responsible for taking care of all these issues themselves. On more complex projects, what we're doing is we're creating an internal project manager, if you will, a single point of contact that will help be the steward of these more complicated projects internally, so it saves the applicants the time and the headache of running around to each of these departments and trying to coordinate and communicate with everybody. Also spares us the potential of any miscommunication along the way between departments, so that's good. Hopefully that can help us streamline process and also be more consistent. Finally, we've started a weekly internal development review staff meeting a while ago to ensure active projects are being addressed and nothing is falling between the cracks. This is really important in that sometimes we don't hear from applicants, but the projects stay on our queue, and then we know to follow up with them before it's gone too long. So this has been a very important thing that we've implemented, and it also forces everybody to come together and communicate internally. So we're really trying to improve our internal processes and the way that we serve the customers when it comes to development projects. Finally, future items. We're having our first 2017 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting on, tomorrow actually, on the 5th, and that's going to consist of a training for new and existing commissioners. And also, we're going to hear a relatively straightforward block plat case. As you recall, Mayor and Council last year approved block plat ordinance. So this will allow, for example, this case will allow 7 subdivided undeveloped lots to be turned into a block plat, which is one single lot again, because essentially these lots are currently undevelopable in their current subdivision. Moving forward for that, we'll be trying to take that to Planning Commission here in the near future. We'll be giving it to them tomorrow for their review, and then hopefully in the near future we'll be bringing it to Mayor and Council. And essentially what that is it provides an administrative process that acts as a minor variance for property owners with complicated land circumstances. Nogales has a lot of topography and interesting conditions. And so what this will do is it'll allow basic things like minor setback reductions and things like that without having to go through a more onerous variance process. But it still will require neighbor notification. Finally, and the biggest project is the Development Standards Code revision. That's a bigger project, a more long-term project, but that's something that we definitely want to focus on. We don't, want to create a bunch of patchwork, but we want to fix. Since I've been with the city of Nogales, it's been about 8 months, and I've heard a lot of feedback from applicants and the development community, and I've seen what people want to apply for variances for and things like that, and I think there are minor adjustments that can be made ultimately to facilitate an easier and faster, more consistent process for getting permits issued. Other than that, that's about it for now. Question?
Well, I've got one of the problems that we've had in the past was that about getting permits, where sometimes people would come and complain and say that they got all the information from your department and what they needed to do. And then, once they got everything done, they'd come back, or some inspector would go in town that they needed more things to do. And I was just hoping that eventually we'll get to the point that the first time they go and let you know what they need, that you guys will cover everything. I don't know if we're up to that point yet, but it's hard on people that are told that all they have to do is a checklist of things, and they get them done, and then they come back and tell them they have another checklist. So we'd like to see it where once they're told about the checklist and they get those things done, they get a permit. That's we don't want to be having complaints of people coming over and saying, they told us this and we did it, and now we're back again because we have another checklist. Has that been taken care of?
Oh, absolutely, Mr. Mayor. So that's something that we're definitely working on right now. So the idea is that we align our checklists and our application forms more closely with our ordinances and make sure we're giving everybody the information, 100% comprehensive information up front. Hence why we're doing more pre-application meetings and those courtesy reviews. So before they even submit a project, essentially we're giving them a full go-through of what they need to submit. So by the time they submit, if they submit an incomplete application, and I mentioned this slightly earlier, we're actually taking more time to tell them what's deficient instead of accepting their application and then taking it under review. Historically, what had happened is, this is, in our community, it's a small community, we try to be helpful with people, and ultimately what's happened in the past is that people will accept an application, not necessarily an incomplete one, but they'll do a piecemeal review of something that requires a more comprehensive analysis, and they'll get to a different stage in the review, and that won't have been done yet, and no one will have taken a larger kind of scope view on it. So now what we're doing is we're kind of understanding the full scope of the project and managing the expectations of what needs to be submitted up front, and letting the applicants know prior to accepting their submittals what it is that they're missing, so we don't give them this kind of runaround.
Good. Thank you. Sure. Any other questions? There we go. Vice Mayor.
Yeah, Mayor, Carlos, I think this report is a good start. I'd like to see this more on a monthly basis, and doesn't have to be a formal presentation, but something included in our council packets just on sort of like what we did at the county, where building department would provide updates on permits, revenue generation, et cetera, what's going on. That way it gives us as a council an idea of what's happening in our community, so we don't have to read about it in the paper. We'd be seeing it firsthand. Secondly, I'm glad you're addressing the updates to the building code. Mayor and council created an economic development task force, and I believe that was one of the first recommendations to update the code, and I think that recommendation was provided probably close to a year ago. So I'd like to see an update on where we're at with that, because it's a year too late in the process. So I'd like to see some movement on that. And last thing I had was following up on the mayor's point, and you sort of touched on it. One idea I think that probably should be vetted is on complex plans, rather than trying to figure out how to address them internally. The possibility of outsourcing complex plans, to have an entity do the review at the cost to whoever the proponent is. That way, the plan will get a thorough review the first time, and all the issues will be addressed, and it'll be a cost savings and a time savings to the applicant. And for us, it would alleviate the incurring of a salaried position to review a plan that, or a complex plan that we may not see very often. So, look at outsourcing as an option. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Another thing that I think that we ought to add to that is a timetable. With the warehouse right in front of us here at Walter Homes, I know that we were all contacted on the completion of that project. And some of us didn't really know how to respond to that. So we need to have basically a completed date on projects and also a timetable, how long it's gonna take to complete some of these projects. I think it would help us out.
You'd like to say anything about that?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Councilman Rojas. That particular issue became more complex as they got into the building. They discovered asbestos and a large number of other things, which, if that had not been discovered, it would have been timely, but it delayed the timing, delayed the cost, and then as they went in, they found more damage. In fact, I think the eastern side, the entire roof had collapsed, which nobody could see unless you got inside. So that one is unique, but we will work on that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
thank you for streaming out the bureaucracy of this. That was a nice highlight for it. And if you, because some of the people, business people that I talk to, say that here in our city, especially when it comes out to outsourcing your responsibilities, as Mr. Lucero alluded to, it is very time consuming. Whereas they have told me that if they go to McAllen, Texas, what takes here a month or so, they can get it done with their bill permits and everything in 24 hours. So it's just something for you to look at. Maybe you need to go to McAllen, Texas, and see how they're doing things, because I think it's costing us business. And also, if you can give us a source of what your department brings in as revenue, just to make sure, because this year is going to be very thin for us financially. So if you could do that at an next
Absolutely.
council meeting.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mayor, Mr. Rivera, I know you're going to have some more of these presentations. If you could just extend to me, please, the courtesy of all of these PowerPoint presentations, that it be given to me ahead of time so I can prepare myself for the presentation.
We could do that.
Councilman Marona, thank you very much. Anything else? No, seeing none. Again, Mr. Dillon, thank you so much for making
Thank
the
you.
presentation to us.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we have one more presentation to Mayor and Council and public. It's from a year to date on projects and activities at the library. Okay.
Mayor, members of the council, I am Danita Lopez. I am the interim library director. I just wanted to share with you a snippet of what has been going on at the library for this past year. At the Nogales Public Library, we had 4 security cameras installed. The Rio Rico Library moved to its new location at 275 Rio Rico Drive just in March. We had an opening and it's been going really well. The Tubac Library had held a coloring club for adults from January. The Sonoya Library just this past month had chairs donated from a local organization. Our summer reading program has been having a great turnout for the past couple of, I'd say, 5 years at both Nogales and the Rio Rico libraries. We have partnered with Peter Piper Pizza with McDonald's to get incentives up to kids. And just some numbers on how we're serving the community. Just this year, 158,559 visitors came to all 4 libraries. 170,901 items were borrowed. That includes movies, books, newspapers, magazines. 1,188 people received library cards, and the number is a little higher from last year. 26,002 people have library cards in Santa Cruz County. If you see our pictures, just this past week, I took the picture on your top left. It's children that were invited to crafts at all the libraries. On your top right is Daniel the Magician, and that was the first summer program at the new location, Rio Rico Library. At the bottom is our volunteer Bethany Garcia doing story hour at Tubac, and over on this other side is Homework Help, and that is provided
free of charge for middle and elementary school children. And our tutor is Ryan Ochoa, who's currently a senior and an IB student. At the bottom is library board and staff. So that includes library board members, staff members, and volunteers. And Suzanne Haddock, who just retired. And total in 4 libraries, we had 345 programs this year with an attendance of 6,411 children and adults. We had over 4,000 questions, reference questions, employment, how to make that, just basic printing, or how to make, I forgot, info pass, how to get that word resumes, and also just how to get that citizenship appointment in Tucson. We get a lot of those. And over 27,000 residents, our 37 public libraries at all 4 libraries. And we had quite a few hits to our library's website. We've had 63,000 hits and 23,000 library online catalog searches. So I'm working on that too. And that's it for now. Yes.
I have out of curiosity, one question. If somebody gets a library card at any one of the libraries, are you good for all the libraries in the county?
Oh, yeah.
Including city and everything?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Vice Mayor.
Mayor, Carlos, how are things with the county and our relationship with the library services?
They're improving.
Okay, Councilman Maldonado?
Yes, Mr. Knight. Do you guys offer volunteering hours for your high school kids and
Yes.
stuff like that?
Yes, stop.
Okay, good. I get a lot of high school through Little League and all that do scholarships, need hours and all that. I didn't see.
Send them over.
Okay. Okay.
Any more questions from the council? Okay, thank you very much for enlightening us with the projects you're all doing.
Just remember that having fun isn't hard. Have a library card. So.
Okay, thank you. Now we go to general, and under A, we have Councilman Barona. Would you like to comment on your health?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to make sure that Mr. Villeda understands that I am waiving the health insurance coverage for myself, and please make sure that the staff knows that they should not make any payments of premiums for me for my health insurance.
Okay, well, thank you then, Councilman Barona. The next one is proclamation on Early Childhood Month. We have our county school superintendent tonight also. He will join us, and we have a proclamation.
Didn't you say you wanted to do that last?
I'll go ahead.
I thought you said you wanted to do it at the end of the meeting.
I was going to read right off here. Naturally, we'll go ahead and read it. I'm going to use a bigger version. No, come here and join me. It's okay. And this is something that you actually authored on this night with Glasgow and Becky brought it to my attention, and I'm going to read this proclamation. Early Childhood Month, and it's to raise awareness of and build public support for the importance of early childhood development and health. Whereas early childhood years are when the brain grows and develops the most. In fact, 90% of the brain is developed by age 5 before they enter kindergarten. Whereas scientific research has shown that a child's experiences in their early years affect outward development. Research has also proven that kids with quality early childhood experiences do better in school, are more likely to go to college, and have successful careers. They also tend to be healthier and demand less from the public welfare system. Whereas the goal of the Santa Cruz County Superintendent Alfredo Velázquez is to raise community awareness about the work of the Family Resource Center in Nogales, Rio Rico, and Patagonia. The mission of Family Resource Center is to help families in Santa Cruz County prepare their children for kindergarten. They provide free services that include referrals for services, parenting education classes to improve parents' relationship with their children, activities for parents and children, a safe, fun place for families, and special events for the whole family. Whereas several entities working together for February as Early Childhood Month, our Santa Cruz County School Superintendent Office, University of Arizona Cooperative Extension, First Things First, Family Resource Centers in Nogales, Patagonia, and Rio Rico, City of Nogales, and Santa Cruz County. Nogales Unified School District number 1, Santa Cruz Valley Unified School District number 35, Patagonia Public School District number 6 and number 8, Sonoita Elementary District number 25, and Santa Cruz Elementary District number 28. Whereas during the month of February, there are activities orientated for young children, such as the Santa Cruz County School Superintendent's Office sponsoring the Read on Santa Cruz County initiative from February 27th to March 3rd, 2017, which promotes early literacy in our schools. Santa Cruz County Public Schools sponsoring various early childhood events and initiatives in their respective school sites throughout the entire month of February. The Santa Cruz Regional Partnership Council of First Things First, holding the 6th annual First Things First, celebrates the Young Child Community event on February 11th. This event brings together community partners to provide elements of early education development, parent-family education, and health, while providing a fun, safe event for parents and families with children birth to 5. Now therefore, I, John F. Doyle, Mayor of the City of Nogales, hereby do here proclaim February 2017 as Early Childhood Month. As witness thereof, we have here to step our hand and cause to be affixed a great seal of the City of Nogales, the County of Santa Cruz, Arizona, with my name, done at City Hall, Arizona, on the 4th of July, January, the year of our Lord, 2017, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 241 signed by myself and our clerk, Leticia Robinson, city clerk, who do hereby present this proclamation. And we want to thank you and everyone involved in the great service you folks are doing for all our kids in our community. Thank you. Appreciate your support. Now we go to the discussion items, where we have an update on the city health insurance plan, EBT. I don't know if there's anything that somebody has to comment on, Mr. Barona, Councilman Barona?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I want to bring out some points that I have that I would like to be placed for the meeting of February the 1st, so that these concerns of mine can be answered, okay? That's all. I just want to bring them out here in public, so you guys prepare yourselves to give us a response to my concerns here for the next meeting, if you would, please.
Speak slow so I can take notes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. First of all, I was concerned before I became a council member about the debt of $40 million, and I understand now, according to Mr. Rivera, that as of July the 1st, 2015, the debt has been reduced to $19.7 million. That
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Barona, can I clarify? It's not a debt; it's an unfunded liability.
Okay. Well, we won't get into semantics. I'll just say it's debt or unfunded is still a debt. It's $19.7 million. I just want to make sure that as we continue as a council, that we need to reduce this debt and find out how we can provide services equally to our commitment to the employees. And and to make sure we have a good bond rating. I don't want this to hurt our bond rating as we decide to go ahead and do something in the future and they come back and tell us, hey, look, you can sell the bonds, but you're going to get it in this category, and that means we're going to have to pay more interest on that category. So I would like to address that, what we need to do as a policy. Also, the ETB board, how are they appointed to the board? And also want to find out is what authority does the board have to remove an elected representative from the board? And I'd like to discuss, since I understand that Mayor Doyle was removed from the board, I want to discuss the minutes and when this decision was made. And I also want to know the authority of the board to spend $2,500 in insurance funds on Christmas gifts. I want to discuss the minutes for this approval. Also, is the board governed by the open meeting law? Also want to understand this new contract to CBIDs. I understand that they have to open up, if I'm correct, I don't know if I'm correct, they have to open up an office in Nogales according to the contract. If you could just share if that is a part of the contract, please show that to me, and by when do they have to open up an office and have a representative here? And also, if we could have, I'd like to review here with Mr. Machado, the trust agreement, have a discussion on the trust agreement. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Varona. If there's no other questions, we'll go to the next item. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, and I know Dr. Varona had asked for this to be on the agenda, so I'd asked Marcel to put together some numbers to give you a presentation as to where the plan is, and it might address some of your questions and concerns.
Let's just do that on February the 1st. That'll give me time to go ahead, and then he can do it at that time.
Okay.
All right.
And then just to add to that, Mayor, the topic of the insurance plan is on the retreat. So, do you want us to take that off the retreat agenda?
Yes, take it off the retreat, because I'm not too sure about the retreat.
Okay.
I'm ready for the next item, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Rojas?
Is that for discussion, or there's going to be action in February, depending on
I
the
basically want
information?
information to improve my knowledge. That's what I'm asking.
Oh, okay.
Help me become a better public official for public policy. So because people are coming to me, they're telling me this, I don't know how to respond. So here in the public, I want you to tell me what is going on. That's what I want. I don't know action, just educate me.
And if there's any issues, there's always, we can always have another meeting for that.
Correct. Yes, but I think we need to discuss this.
I believe you want to just be informed.
Right.
I want to be informed, but I also want my concerns to be addressed.
Right. And that way the whole council will be up to par.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And Mr. Mayor, can I have one other thing related to that? There was an OPEB committee that was appointed, 2 years ago?
Yeah. Mr. Reed, just careful with your acronyms, okay? Spell them out.
Benefits, yes. That actually addressed the issue and looked at other alternatives to reduce the unfunded liability and came up with a plan. So I'd ask that we can, whoever the OPEB members were, or Greg was the chair, I believe, give some information as to what those recommendations were and how we have been implementing those along the way.
I believe there was quite a bit of discussion on that item. I believe Councilman Diaz was also on the board even before Vice Mayor came on. But it's something that's been on there for more than 2 years.
Mr. Mayor, the issues that Dr. Varona raised were raised in that board. I think if you bring them back up, it'll address a lot of the questions that were proposed or brought up, and it would be, I think, educational for the new council members to see all the steps that we've looked at to address the liability and not harm the city as well as the current employees and past employees to the least extent possible. So I think it's a good opportunity just to bring that back up and address it again.
Okay. So what I gather is the council is asking for a review on OPEB as far as how far we've come, where we're at. And I guess you gave part of the reason of saying that we're at 19 point something million because of some of the decision making that has been made since then.
Yes.
So I guess we need to bring all that and to that order where everybody will understand, the new council will know exactly what's been going on in the past and where we're at this point.
And Mr. Mayor, we will work on it, and I'll contact Vice Mayor Lucero so we can get whatever minutes or documents that they had, because that committee was established before my time.
Yes, it's been on almost 3 years, Councilman Diaz? 4 years? Okay, 4 years. So it's been there for a while.
And that email, just as an explanation, that is from the actuary. It's just a ballpark estimate because it's not official until they conduct the analysis again by the end of the fiscal year. But that gives you an estimate of what our reduced unfunded liability is, which is if we close the doors today to cover all our employees, that's how much we would have to set aside to cover the insurance claims that would be incurred by the city. So it's not necessarily debt, it's claims going forward.
That's what we'll need to make sure everybody's informed, everybody's on the same page. So if you can make it as clear as possible for all the council, because I know that it gets
as clear as mud.
It gets sometimes, I hope that we have it now as clear as that we had it, say, 2-3 years ago. And so that's what we're asking them. Going forward again, on number B, we touched on that, discussion direction, tentative schedule for our mayor and council's retreat on January 26th. We have an hour from 9 to 2 p.m. Are there any, I don't know exactly, we're going to need to make some changes. I know you dropped one of the things off. So are we going to give any new direction to staff as far as items we're going to put on there? Are we going to be open and make that, have a special meeting for that? And
I want to address this on future agenda items when we get to that point. So if we can leave that out and let's discuss. I have another thing that I would like to do, future agenda items, and then after that we can all pitch in on what we want to do.
Okay, is that okay with the rest of the council? Everybody fine with that? Discussing this item at the end of on future agenda items? Okay, we're going to move it then to that. Yes,
Yes, Mayor. Mr. Rodona, basically we only have 2 weeks in between from now to the 26th. So our next meeting is not till afterwards. So when will we discuss it?
Well, that's why he wants to go to the end of it. See, we can
today?
call for another meeting
Okay.
before that special meeting or something.
I just want to clarify.
And, yes, okay. So we'll go ahead then and into the consent agenda. And under consent, we have approval of mayor and city council regular session minutes for Wednesday, December 7th. Do I have a motion to approve? A second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Mr. Mayor, I wasn't there for that, so I abstain.
Very well. Okay, so we have the majority of the council already voted. They're going to go ahead and approve the minutes, so we have motion approved. We have under orders. We have a consideration and possible action of order 2017-01-001. It's an order of the Council of the City of Nogales, Arizona, authorizing the city manager to transfer funds from the contingency fund to the sewer fund in the amount not to exceed $80,000 to fund the design of the Peña Blanca sewer line. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, any discussion?
Discussion.
Yes, Councilman?
On this item here, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Rivera, how will the $80,000 be reimbursed from the contingency fund to the sewer account? So we're going to lend money from the contingency fund. I would understand that everything in the general fund has been budgeted. So if it's been budgeted, where specifically are you getting the $80,000 to lend to an enterprise fund, which is a sewer fund? And how is the sewer fund, which you could just raise the rates dramatically, how is the sewer fund going to reimburse the $80,000 to the contingency fund?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, that this item was actually supposed to be completed last fiscal year. There were some glitches and it wasn't finalized. So now it was not placed in the budget, sewer fund budget at this time. But if we have the funds at the time, at the end of the fiscal year, we will make that transfer back. The rate increases should provide additional funds, but they only come in monthly, which we're not able to accumulate those excess funds. And this is just a rough estimate right now, because once they do the soils analysis, all the engineering, then we'll know exactly what this is going to entail.
Well, according to their pricing, and plus the 10%, it comes out to about $76,000. So you're about $4,000. So will you give us an update on?
Yes. Yes, we will.
Okay, and then the question here is, how was this company Stantec selected? Did you go out and interview a lot of companies, or did you just go to this one company?
Mr. Mayor and Council, I believe Alejandro or Lee is here, and they can address that issue.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. So, Stantec has been doing a lot of work for us and for the county flood control district, and so they were familiar with this project. We looked at several other consulting firms, but to do a turnkey operation, they had all the technical staff on hand to do this type of work, and it was more detailed in terms of the scour analysis that needs to be done. So yeah, so it was also a non-call for the
So you just selected the company yourself?
Yes.
Professional services.
Yeah,
and everything falls in with the procurement rules?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
professional
No,
services.
professional
Under the state,
services.
yeah, that's correct.
The other thing that we didn't get a lot of information on, and probably is how long will it take before the work's finished, and how much distance are they going to cover? How much, whether it be in linear feet or yards or meters, whatever it is,
Right,
that they're
so-
going to have to work on.
Right, so the length of the project is probably, I don't have the plans in front of me, I want to say it's about 500 feet or so. The time to do the design would probably be about 6 months to complete, to get 100%, to get the ADQ approval. One of the things we did with this company is we did go and meet with ADQ to make sure that what we were planning and proposing was going to be acceptable to them. And so they agreed, and upon agreeing to that, we decided to move forward with the proposal to do the design to get 100%.
And so then after there's no cost estimate because you need to do the soil analysis test and whatnot.
Right, so there's a lot of engineering that needs to be completed prior to completing or to even getting to, let's say, the 60% and 90% of the plans. One of the things I can tell you is that Stantec is doing the similar project in Marana, crossing the Santa Cruz, and it's about 2,500 linear feet of sewer crossing there.
Now, it's probably a little different terrain over there from where you're working at now, but what would your close estimate to the cost of doing the project? Not including the work that's being done right now for the 80,000, but actually the cost to do the work down the road. What would you think that would end up at?
So one of the things that we're looking at, that's a tough question to answer without having the engineering. But if we were to base it on what Moran is doing right now with their horizontal directional drilling for construction, I think it was roughly they were paying. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's around $500 a linear foot. So it's pretty pricey. It's a cost.
So we're looking at about $250,000 for the project here?
And the reason they're doing that is because there's also the 404 component with the Army Corps of Engineers that you have to comply with crossing the waterways in the United States. And so that could take upwards of a year just to get through the 404 permit process.
Was there any other funding that we could get to cover that? Grant funding or somebody, a WIFA or Does that, anybody have out there?
You know, we could do a low interest loan with WIFA. I'm sure that would be available. In terms of grant money, this is a maintenance issue for our city.
But it's going to be a big cost, still, 250,000.
Right.
And it could be more. I think that we're looking at a low estimate there.
Right, and I don't want to sugarcoat it either. I mean, you're absolutely right. It could be a big cost.
So,
when we get
so is there anything we can do to start, you know, trying to see if we can?
Oh no, we've talked with finance, and I know that there's some contingency money in the. That's where this part is coming.
Right.
Yeah, with this funding.
These that we projected for the budget.
Right. Which was about.
About 228,000.
About 228,000.
Okay, so since we're still a little distance off for continuing with the project, maybe council needs to discuss this a little more, see if we can push to secure funding of some type that won't be so direct hit on our contingency.
Right. So I think now, I think that moving forward, one of the commitments we made to the state was that we would move forward with the design.
No, fine. No,
Okay.
I understand.
Okay.
We'll continue with the project, and that's what we're going to approve. But you know, this is one item.
Right.
But once we get it approved, so many months down the road, then we're going to be looking into getting bids for the cost of finishing the project.
That's right.
And that's the one that I'm concerned with. This is 80,000. How much is the other one? It'll be close to $250,000. So maybe we can do something to help fund this thing without the city getting hit so hard on it.
Absolutely.
Yes, Vice Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, right now you got, what, 30% plunged?
Right now, we're about 30%. That's what we presented to ADQ.
And
That's right.
I assume, Mayor, that under the contract that the engineer will come up with a cost estimate at
60 and 80.
so when we get at 60% plan level, we'll have a fairly good idea of what the anticipated cost will be, and then we can start working at ways to defray that cost. And my guess, it'll probably be going into following year's fiscal year budget, so we can look at a WIFA loan or other revenue streams to try to cover that cost. But I think we're early on, but I think you're correct, Mayor, that it's going to be a cost that we're going to have to pay attention to, and so it doesn't hit our general fund. And if we can look at the enterprise fund to somehow cover it through a loan or some other means, that would be the best way to do it. So I think we're well prepared to move forward at this point.
All right. Any other questions? Yes, Councilman.
You didn't give me the chance to finish here.
I'm sorry, Councilman. Go ahead.
Could you tell me exactly where it says Peña Blanca Potrero? I know it's by the IOI West, but where is this? Where's the sewage coming? Coming from the IOI?
So if you're familiar with Old Nogales Highway, and I'll try to kind of give you an alignment. So I think it's the old Shipley warehouse, Old Tucson Highway. And then kind of going west of there, there's a drainage channel that crosses the railroad and it crosses the old Tucson Highway, and then it crosses right between Shipley, and I think there's some residents just to the north of there, and it kind of runs parallel with that drainage channel. It drops underneath the Potato Creek, and then it kind of follows the alignment with the Alamo Creek, and then it pops up. There's a lift station at the entrance of Peña Blanca, the subdivision there, and that's where the lift station is. It pressurizes there. So everything's gravity fed from about 70 homes that are located in Peña Blanca right now, and then the two schools, the Bracker and then the Desert Shadows, also feed into that. So that gets pumped from the lift station. It gets pumped underneath the interstate, underneath the wash, and then it's gravity fed into the IOI.
But where was the exposure at?
So the line is exposed in the wash. It's actually broken twice. And so we managed to kind of piecemeal it together and keep it, maintain it as it is exposed. So it's basically the invert of the wash and at the east bank of the wash.
Right, it's actually in the wash there, and
right. Yeah,
you can get contamination there.
Pardon?
Is there any possibility of getting contamination there?
There's always that possibility during a storm event, right? There's always that possibility, but right now we're maintaining it. We're expecting it several times a week, and then after every storm event.
But there's one more question that I have then. If that's the case, and we're looking at before they finish this project, will be almost a year away.
Before the design.
Well, the design is not gonna take care of the problem, it's just, but what I'm concerned is, we're gonna have that exposure during the flooding season that's coming up in the monsoon season. We are?
Yes, yeah, we are, and it's been exposed.
So how are we gonna
like
protect it at that time?
So what we did is we put in some, what they call restraint joints. So we put in some mechanical restraint joints that restrain the pipe together so that it doesn't slip apart easily. And then we put some steel piping to keep it from moving laterally, in the event of a big storm event and the large should be coming down the wash and knocking it out, which has happened, and that's why. And that seems to have helped.
Now, does it make sense for ADQ to put in danger the rest of the Santa Cruz River because they're holding up, they're doing their analysis and everything? Don't they have a shorter, we're demanding from our own departments of codes and everything, and now we have ADQ putting in danger the environment because is there any way we can talk to them and say, can you speed up the process, or?
So we've talked, we have, and we've had this conversation, and we've invited Ray Morgan with ADQ down here several times, and he initially inspected it. Basically he says anything that you do here when you realign that sewer line, whether it's vertically or horizontally, that realignment that triggers the regulations with ADQ and the state, and they have to do their job, and their job is to say, okay, well now you have to present us with a change of the plan. In order to do that, we have to have a qualified engineering firm to do that.
Well, can we go over their heads and explain, there's a genuine concern here.
Yeah, no, I understand. I mean,
the problem can go all the way to Pima County if it gets into Santa Cruz. If you start, channeling sewage there, are they monitoring it on a daily basis, or?
Are we monitoring?
Yes.
We're monitoring weekly, probably 3 times a week, and then.
But what if there's a break in between that you're not aware of, and it starts going into the wash? I mean, are we taking all those things?
Yeah, we have a contingency. Our contingency, what we've done in the past when that did happen initially, was we coordinated and we reported that to the state, and they were up there.
Well, they're the ones that should be responsible because they're the ones that are putting the rules and regulations in place. I mean, they're hindering the process.
The alternative,
I'm just thinking it'd be sped up. Is there somebody we can talk to?
Well, I mean, they charge you extra, to speed up the process like anything.
Oh, that's the way it works. Huh?
Fees that you can charge. But we have to get the design done. Once we get the design done, then it's going to be all done. What money it takes.
So you're doing the best you can with what they're asking. Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Lee, for bringing this up. It seems like there's a lot to it more than what we're aware of in engineering terms and everything, and with the rules and regulations that they have with their ADEQ. So I don't know. Well, keep us. I guess we'll touch base on that. We'll keep us informed. I think that's an important issue, and it's not just for the cost, but also the health of the community out there. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Can I please finish with my line of questions without being interrupted?
I'm sorry.
You've interrupted me.
Before this night's out,
I'm not very good at you.
Before this night, we're going to be on the same page.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I just want to make sure when we're talking about this potrero, where is the catch basin? Where's all of this sewer coming from? You said that the 2 middle schools and those 70 residential homes?
That's correct.
Why are we responsible? That's what I don't understand. Why are we paying for something that's not in the city of Nogales? And those people are getting a free ride.
So it's my understanding, I wasn't here at the time when the city council approved that plat. I think it's 1,300 homes roughly that were platted. Can be built there, that was platted. Because of the size, my understanding, because of the size of the lots, they couldn't use septic, so they had to use sewer. And at the time, I believe it was in the early 1990s. And Mr. Morses was here at the time, so he's more familiar with that. But at that time, the council approved the plat, and then they approved the connection of the sewer and the design.
Okay, so Do those individual residents pay the city of Nogales?
Yes, sir. They pay the.
What do they pay?
Yeah, it's based on their, right, it's based on their water bill. So for the months of,
Dr. Barone, excuse me. I wasn't aware we provided water service.
No, I'm sorry, you're right. Yeah, but it's based, yeah, it's, well, I think Value Visit provides the water service for them, and that's how that's calculated, I'm sorry. It's not our water, we don't provide water. I'm sorry, thank you.
See, here, getting back to the points made here, this is what's disturbing. Why we need to make sure. We're gonna have to come up with $250,000, maybe $300,000 with the 10% and everything, plus the $80,000. Then we tell the people of Nogales, who we are responsible for, hey, we gotta raise your rates. We gotta continue to raise your rates. And we're taking care of somebody that's not even in the city of Nogales. They don't pay us property taxes. At least if we got a property tax out of them, I'd keep my mouth shut. There's no property taxes, and we're draining our contingency fund for an area that we have no business being there at all. We might be stuck with it because of the commitment, but my point is, whoever made this commitment, look at the infrastructure. Oh, they probably said, oh, look at the guys in Nogales, don't worry, just do something inferior. If it breaks down in 2-3 years, it's their problem, and it's become our problem. And that's shameful then, to tell the people of Nogales that we have to raise their rates so drastically to provide infrastructure for them, and now here we are going to spend $500,000 to people over there that don't even belong in the city of Nogales, and I don't even know what the delinquency rate is. Since we don't collect, I don't even know if they pay. They might even say, well, they were stupid enough to accept us. Let's not even pay now. It's terrible. And now what are we going to do for the people in Nogales by raising the rates? We just going to give $500,000 to somebody else. And I just want to point that out because that's terrible public policy. Terrible public policy. Can you tell? Do I have another interruption?
Well, no, you're done? Are you done?
No, I'm
Oh,
not.
okay. All right.
I just want to make sure that, why did you select that identified horizontal directional drill versus the open cut, besides trying to avoid the 404 permit?
So for construction, what we have there is we have a high water table, and we have, water continually running, so we would have to separate that, and we have to go into the 404, we have to trigger that, and that would take time and money. But we did look at that as an alternative, as open cut. If it comes to an emergency, maybe that's what we have to do. Maybe we'll do it, but as long as we have those funds approved, for ADQ, they really want to see, they don't really care how we do it necessarily, but, there's some triggers that the Army Corps, I think, and we talked with the flood control district about this, and we tried to read out to the Army Corps. Also, in the event of like the mayor is saying, in the event of an emergency, let's say it breaks and we can't pump it. The nice thing is that we can control the flow that comes through there by turning off the lift station and hitting the switch and turning the power, and then pumping it out with Vector trucks. And that's what we've done in the past. But to get back to your question, is if we look at the alternatives, yes, we looked at the alternatives of open cut, horizontal versus horizontal directional drilling.
And how is the core with that 404 permit?
In terms of, it's a time-consuming process. It can be done, but it's time-consuming. It really is. Yeah, I think I'm being generous by saying a year, but yeah, you're right. It could be 2 to 3 years.
And as we go through this, what does the Pima County Department of Environmental Quality have to do with us here?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I think what it is the.
And we have to obtain construction authorization from Pima County.
Oh, yeah, I think that must be a typo, but because well, I don't know. I think it has to do with the design standards. So a few years back, the city adopted the Pima County design standards for wastewater. So we didn't have our own standards. So for engineering, design details, things like that, and then we adopted Tucson Water for the water side of things. That seems to be working well. So that we can, call out those standards in the plans versus coming up with our own.
And then I noticed here on this, the topographic and aerial survey and Western Technologies. Have you already spent money on this?
We spent some money on this.
How much have you spent?
I want to say about 30,000. I have to look for 30,000.
Mr. Rivera, this is the thing. You're asking us to take monies from contingency to foot this building. It's $80,000 right now. But why are we being asked to do this after money has already been spent? Why wasn't the council told from the inception, this is the project that we have, this is what we're planning on doing, this is what it's going to cost? Because if we were to say, let those people figure it out over there. Now we've already made some expenditures. Why aren't we told from the beginning of the project? What you're telling us now, why wasn't it done before any money was expended?
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Barona, I believe the initial plan, which was in 2015, was that the city was going to conduct the repairs themselves. So the city incurred some costs, but then the result was that ADQ said, no, this triggers some other issues. Now you need engineering, 404 permits, so now we have to take a step back and hire an engineering firm to go out and finish it up. So the original plan was to save money, the city would do the repairs and do the replacement, but we can't do that now.
But I think with Councilman Barona, I think again, going back, I didn't interrupt now, because your question, I think what I gathered from the question was, when you found out that the city couldn't do it, and now it was going to be a bigger project, why wasn't it brought to the council?
I believe it. I believe it was brought to the council. But it goes back probably at least 2 years, maybe. Or initially there was going to be some emergency repair work that we were doing, and then it was reported to ADQ. Somebody had reported that, hey, you guys have the sewer line that's exposed. ADQ came down to investigate. They said, you have to do the plan. And then we said, okay. And then they said, okay, well, what are you going to do? And we said, well, we need to come up with a concept and take it to you and see if it's okay. And if it's okay, then we'll move forward. And so that's where that 30,000, that initial 30% plans came from. Take that to ADQ to discuss our solution.
Okay, I'm just trying to catch up a little here. What does trenchless crossing mean? I just couldn't figure that out.
So you're not open cutting. You're not open cutting. It's basically a trenchless, almost a horizontal or vertical.
How much have you paid Stantec so far?
I think, like I said, I think it's roughly about 30,000.
Oh, it's all gone to them, huh?
They have. I'm sorry. Ariel Cooper. They don't have a markup for their subs. So Ariel Cooper did, I think, one of the initial aerials for the 30% plans. Some of the geotech that was done initially, and some of the survey.
And the design for the sewer force main repair. We don't have, Santa Cruz County has no standards and guidelines for this. We have to go and copy Pima counties for all of this, which is probably very rigorous. It's probably even going to make the cost of construction even higher.
No, it meets the ADQ standard.
The Santa Cruz
County. Well, Santa Cruz County doesn't deal with sewer or water. That's all privately run by Liberty. And Liberty Water, understanding they use some water standards that probably.
Oh, Mr. Mayor, I can probably address that question for Councilman Morona. Councilman Morona, the county has no authority to deal with sewer lines or sewer systems. The only county in the state that's authorized to deal with sewers or even maintain a sewer is Pima County. So that's why the Santa Cruz County does not have any kind of standard.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera.
And then I notice here on your project schedule, this probably not going to be completed until May, but you started on this project last year, November?
The initial 30% to have those discussions with ADQ. So we met in Phoenix with ADQ to discuss our solution. It meets all the requirements.
I just hope that in the future that you come and tell the mayor and council before expenditures, not when we get to the 20 or 30 We know about the project before, and just for everybody to know that this project means that there is approximately $500,000 less for salary increases that we're spending money someplace where we have no business being. So eventually, you people pay that price yourself. It's not good public policy. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Councilman. Yes, Vice Mayor?
Just a couple of follow-up questions. Whoever the decision makers were back in the days when they took this sewer system into the city is, in fact, the owner of the sewer lines at this point in time, correct?
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor Lucero, yes, the mayor and council accepted it at that time. The developer built the sewer system, not sewer system, installed the lines and maintained them for, what was it, Alejandro? 10 years. 10 years. That was part of the agreement, the development agreement. And the city's had no issues with that line for the last 22 years. This is the first issue that we've had.
So we as the owners are now subject to the regulatory impacts that ADEQ has with respect to these sewer lines.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor Lucero, yes, we are liable. It's our responsibility, and we have an obligation to get them in compliance.
Now, if we're out of compliance, the fines and penalties enforced by ADEQ would be assessed to who?
To the city of Nogales.
And any idea of what the penalties for something like this would be?
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, I couldn't give you a dollar amount. It would depend on the amount of flow, the length of time, the amount of damage, the amount of contamination. So it would be hard to assess it and give you a dollar amount.
My understanding, and maybe somebody from Public Works can respond, but it would not be a one-time penalty. It would be a daily occurrence until the situation is addressed. So in this situation, when ADEQ is informed of this potential liability, they contacted us and said, you guys need to come up with a plan.
Up to $25,000 a day. That's what the state can assess to us. Normally, they don't go to that extreme, but that's the
Okay. I just want to make sure that everyone understands it. Whether we like it or not, we have to fix it. If we don't, the penalty would be substantial. Thank you, Mr.
That's correct.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Any other comments or questions?
No, I'm in concurrence with Vice Mayor. That's a good point. But still, we get back why it's so important that the city manager properly prepares. His responsibility is to prepare each one of us for every meeting on every agenda item and make sure that everything that we do, that Mr. Machado says, you have done that legally. Or tell us. My opinion here, you guys are going out of the scope of your responsibilities according to the charter of just taking care of the people of the city of Nogales.
But we inherited this.
No, we inherited it. No, but that my point is that's why I'm constantly asking you, Mr. Ritter, we depend upon you and Mr. Mitchell to properly prepare us so that we're not, when we walk through that door, it's both of your responsibilities to prepare us for everything that's on that agenda. If not, we get all of this, and who's paying the price now? Who's going to have to go tell the people? Who's going to have to tell the employees we don't have enough money for salary increases because we're out there paddling water? That's enough. Let's move on to the next one.
Thank you, Councilman Barona. It seems like there's no other comments, and we're going to go now to B. Oh, we still have to vote on this thing. That's right. Okay. I thought we had taken off the responsibility here, but I guess we're stuck with the problem. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve. Seeing no more discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carried.
Mr. Mayor, may I explain my vote, please? I'm going to vote aye simply because of the comments that were said about the penalties. And I don't think we should incur any more expenses. Mr. Lucero, Vice Mayor Lucero brought up a good point. But I vote yes hesitant because of the previous comments that I made. I should be voting no on this as a matter of principle. But I'm going to continue to support colleagues here, so we continue to show a strong united front. But I hope all of you watch and make sure that we make good public policy, and when you don't think so, that you stand up there and tell us. Because look at the consequences that come back after the fact. Go ask. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Barona. Point well taken. Next is B, consideration and possible action of order 2017-01-002, an order of the Council of the City of Nogales, Arizona, adopting amended Chapter 16, Sections 1601, 1602, 1603, and 1604 of the City of Nogales Personnel Manual and establishing personnel rules and regulations. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, we have a second on that?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Discussion. On this thing here, that basically, I remember listening to Councilman Diaz. He wanted to see what it is with the police department on their work hours. So I would like to make sure that Chief Arneson, could you please give us your perspective on this policy and its impact to your police department here on this?
Fire department. Yes, go
May
ahead,
I please?
Mr. Machado.
It's going to be real limited and I'll try to answer all your questions you have on this, but there's certain legal issues that may arise depending on what is discussed publicly here. So
why don't we do this?
An executive session?
No.
not at this point, yeah.
No, I want Chief Arneson to give me his opinion on what this is. If at any time you feel that we are strained, interrupt.
Okay.
I want him to.
All right, well, let me try it this way, okay? Because I mean, there's really serious consequences here. I believe that this amendment here will address the issues that we have currently at the police department. And this will allow the city manager the flexibility to address that issue to the satisfaction of the police department. And that has been discussed with Chief Arneson, and a satisfactory resolution has been reached. If we go stray more than that, Councilman, we really have to discuss it in the executive session.
Okay, so then,
I mean, is that accurate, Chief, what I've said?
I do want to hear from the people that this is going to impact. I want to base my vote on what the impact is going to be on the police department and on the fire department. And I don't think we're going to stray very far to get us into a legal bind here. If we're going on...
Can you monitor this?
Okay.
Well, tell me how
what I'm saying is, this is not made to address any specific problem there or here or there. This is a general policy. But this general policy allows the flexibility for the city manager to address specific problems in various departments. And right now, we only have one that we've addressed at this point that this will remedy. And like I said, we've already had those discussions with the chief. I think this will allow us to remedy that issue. Is that accurate, Chief? I mean, we don't have any other issues with any other departments.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Barona, Mr. Machado, we had the discussion, no question. What I haven't seen in the policy here is what materialized in yours and my opinion, Mr. Rivera's conversation.
No, this allows, like we explained when we had the page turner, this section allows the flexibility of the city manager to implement what you've agreed upon. But without this, there's no authority to do it.
Right, and I guess my understanding of our conversation when we spoke probably a month ago was that was going to be part of the policy. But then when we went into the director's meeting and we went through the draft of the policy, that wasn't memorialized on there. So I thought maybe
the fire department has.
No, that's not what was discussed, and it cannot be part of a specific policy directed only at your department. Here, we're getting into the legal aspect of it, Councilman, so that's what.
But I don't see why we would have to go into an executive session. Public policy, we're making public policy that should be out here in front of the public. So
I agree with you.
I understand what the chief is saying. If I'm interpreting him correctly, what you're saying that the issue has been addressed through this policy, according to what Chief Arneson is saying, it has not been memorialized.
What Chief Arnston wants cannot be put into this policy. But what this policy does is allows the city manager the flexibility to do it by directive, which they've agreed to do.
Let's see, I understand.
Who has agreed to do?
We all met together, and this is what we said.
Chief Arneson?
That is true, but again, the council was not knowledgeable as to what that conversation was.
So what was the conversation?
Can it be discussed?
Why is everybody hiding here?
No, we're not hiding anything.
Tell me what's going on.
There's real, okay, what we've agreed, this will allow the city manager the ability to modify the work hour schedules of the police department.
Where on this policy can you highlight what you're saying?
C.
C, Mr. Machado. I'll answer you on C.
You want me to, I don't understand.
No, I've already read it. How is it going to be answered when right here we have a city manager form of government and C and D look at not a city manager form of government, but an authoritative form of government?
I'm sorry.
That's been the past, though, right? This is the old policy.
I'm sorry.
It's a new policy. What I'm saying
I don't follow you.
You don't. Why, to answer this question, to help the police department, who are the only ones, or the fire department, that put their lives on the line for us every single day, why does it say the city manager in his sole discretion? Why does it have to be in his sole discretion? Why just him? And it's him with a sole discretion, and then you're saying that nobody has a right to appeal. It's all thrown out the window. So, in other words,
because
whatever he decides in his sole discretion, don't question me, because you can't appeal it, you can't do anything. I'm going to make the decision. If you don't like it, too bad. That's not the kind of government that I want. I want a city manager that's responsive to the workers, to the people of this community. That was the purpose of having a city manager, not to make him so powerful that nobody can question anything. And I will not accept C and D in this policy.
That's fine. That's your call whether you do it or not.
Okay.
But there's certain things that it's a city manager form of government, and this is a management policy to be able to implement leave times, lunch times, and all that stuff. If you don't want to give him that policy, don't give him that authority then. But I don't know. That's who do you want to give it to?
I don't understand the difference if we put in a section there, like you put in a section here, the work period for the fire department. Why can't we put in a section there, a work period for the police department personnel? You did it for the fire department. Why can't we do it for the police department?
Because they operate under different rules, Dr. Barona. There's different. They work. The Fair Labor Standard Act has a different section that deals with the fire department. So that they're like an animal by themselves. The police department is different. They're part of the group. And I'm not saying that we can't do what they want to do, what you want to accomplish, but we just have to be real careful on how we do it.
Okay, so give me a solution. I would like to see in this policy that the police officers are going to work an 8-hour shift, and they're going to be paid half an hour for a lunch break. Give me a suggestion how to put that into the policy. I want to see it in the policy, and then it's up to the council what they want.
Again, I'm not going to come off the cuff here and give you something, because this is something that will create a big legal liability to the city. So we have to be real careful here. tell me what you want and who you want to be able to do it. But our policy right now, the city manager establishes schedules and so on. And
How about,
How did we get to this point?
okay,
If all of this has been going on for so many years.
that's what I want to discuss.
You want to?
I do not.
Oh.
Okay. If you want to discuss that, we need to.
We could make a motion and table this, I guess.
Well,
Let's do this. You know, I think everybody's anxious to help alleviate this problem. I mean, it's just how we're going to do it.
Well, then you said everybody just jumps in here. Just jump
But
in.
no, we still have the floor. But if you'll concede to.
No, I'm not going to concede.
Okay, then go ahead.
I don't want to have a policy that says in sole discretion. I don't know the definition of, and you don't have a chapter of definitions for specific extenuating factors. That is very broad.
It is.
And it could be reinterpreted, misinterpreted from manager to manager to manager. And I just don't find consistency in what that means. And I think that every one of our employees has a right to appeal. Every one of our employees has a right to appeal. So I don't agree with that. I think that the specific extenuating factors, can we just take the C and D out? And then if he's an occurrence, then I know that the police department then, Mr. Rivera, will have the 8-hour work trip with a half an hour lunch without, and take those out.
No. If
Why?
you take those out, he doesn't have the authority to make that. Because the existing policy does not give you that authority. Give him
It's
the
asking for a
authority.
deviation.
Right.
Right?
Well, then you need to come back as far as, and come up with something that does not have, something that has a specific definition of specific extenuating factors, so I understand that, and sole discretion. Forget about it.
Yes, I think the vice mayor, are you,
No, not yet.
not yet?
Somebody has to be in charge. Let me give you an example, okay? The work schedules for the public works changes over the course of the year because the winter hours and summer hours and so on. And that has to be within the discretion of the city manager and the department directors. I don't know who else to give that discretion to. Who would you give that discretion to be able to change those hours? You can't give it to the employees and they work whatever hours they want.
No, give it to the chief of police. Let him take care of his department. Give it to the fire chief. Let them take care of his department. They do the scheduling of the hours. Why do we have to say the city manager in his sole discretion?
Well, because if you want to give it to the department heads, you can, but we'll have to change the whole policy. If you don't want to give that power to the city manager, then that's something else. But now we're getting very close to violating the charter because our form of government makes him the ultimate authority. You can't have a department director having more discretion than the city manager.
Well,
But you know,
that's an
Dr. Mena-
interpretation because what you're interpreting, I wrote 80% of it. Okay? 80% of it I wrote.
You may
And
have.
I campaigned.
You may have, but
that the spirit was not what you're saying, Mr. Machado.
well, whatever the spirit is, and I'm basing myself on what the law is because we're not the only city that has the city manager form of government, and there's
That's
been
right.
case law on stuff, and you cannot have the other people having authority, more authority than the ultimate guy that has that authority. But you know what? We're getting
Schedule stuff. That's all we're talking about. Schedules.
well, yeah, but you want to give somebody else the authority to make a schedule
No,
over
I don't wanna
his
give it.
over
I
his
wanna-
discretion.
I want to put it down in our policy.
Okay.
That this is the policy for the police department, that they
Okay.
work 8-hour shifts with a half an hour. That's
And we
our
need,
right. This
and
is
we
our
need
policy.
to discuss that in executive session.
Okay, let's discuss that and let's table this and we'll discuss
And we
it.
can discuss it right now if you
You want
want.
to discuss it in
Okay,
executive session?
You'll
Do
see
we have-
that there's problems.
If you say that we can legally go into executive session.
We can
which
legally
I
go into
resent
executive session.
Going into executive session. I think the people's
I will not give legal advice in open session. That's what executive sessions are for.
We can, at any time, we can go into executive session.
I know what executive sessions are, Jim. My deal is to have discussions here and open to the public, because they have a right, one thing, to know how each one of us is thinking. But here again, I'm not going to make a mistake. Let's go into executive session.
Okay. All right, I'll make the motion, or we go into executive session. Do we have a second?
Please, we move into executive session as recommended by the city attorney.
As recommended by the city attorney. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
To go to executive session. Okay, I see a second by Mr. Diaz, Councilman Diaz. All those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Motion carried.
Just let it go?
Just let it go?
Let it go.
It's yours.
Okay.
Good for the.
I'll bring it up. I'm gonna bring it up.
Let it go.
Hold on.
We're not
Bring it
gonna
up
hold you on
so we can talk for another hour.
Okay, after ending executive session, we'll open up again under orders back to D. I guess you're going to be reminding me where we left off on
We were in discussion on the motion.
discussion. We were in discussion, so we
Mayor?
got the motion to approve and second, and then we were in discussion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer an amendment to the main motion under C2 to remove, put a period after the city attorney and remove "and human resource director" is to be removed.
Second.
We have a motion to remove under C, and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. And now we have,
No. Now we have to vote on the main motion.
that's part, now we have the main motion, which is to approve.
To approve.
And we already have the second on that, so we'll call for the question. And all those in favor of approving order number B signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion
Mr.
carried.
Mayor, can I explain my vote, please?
Please do.
I have expressed all of my concerns in the executive session, and all of my concerns have been addressed, and they will be taken care of tomorrow morning by the city manager. Of what I have expressed in public and in executive session, I have been assured that everything will be done in an orderly manner and everything will be taken into account. That is why I concur and agree with the motion. And, thank you, Mayor, Council. I thank everybody for their strong cooperation. I'm grateful and I'm glad that we're working as a team.
Thank you, Councilman Barona. We appreciate all the input, and I think we're going to get to a sign of how we're going to discuss things and go forward in the future meetings, and I think it's going to be very positive.
Yes.
Thank you. Going to order number 9C, we have consideration and possible action of order 2017-01-003. In order of the Council of the City of Nogales, Arizona, approving a sub-grantee agreement with the Arizona Department of Homeland Security for a Stone Garden grant in the amount of $670,000 in reimbursable overtime and mileage.
Move to approve.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
A motion to approve and second. All those, or do we need any discussion?
Can I ask the Chief of Police, I'd like for him to give us an overview of what's going to happen with this money from Stone Garden.
Yeah. Chief?
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Barona, Stone Garden has been around for quite some time. It's really, we add supplement to the federal agents here along the border. It's along the southern borders of Arizona, Southern California, and Texas, through the Border Patrol. The monies come through the federal system, but they're allocated and housed at the Arizona State Department of Homeland Security. And so each year, and sometimes biannually, we have opportunities to request through grant supplications, opportunities to afford us overtime to continue in the strengthening of our border, security of our border, those types of things. And then also the equipment that's allocated to that, to use that, so we don't have to use our own vehicles to do that. And so this grant really is along those same lines, where $670,000 is to pay for the overtime that the officers will expend throughout the year, as well as to reimburse mileage to the vehicles. So our vehicles are fueled up, they're maintained, those types of things. We get a mileage. I'm not sure what it is. That means 40% of mileage. And that's really what it is. And it really is there to help along the border with human smuggling, with drug trafficking, those kinds of things. So from a law enforcement standpoint, so it's been here now, I'm going to my 5th year. I think it's a valuable resource for us because it does many things, one of which it allows us to have more officers that are on duty at any given time. So it's a benefit to the city, at least from my perspective as your chief.
Why is it, I don't remember quite, but why is it that I read a clause there that your scheduling officers has to have the approval of the Border Patrol?
I think those are really, we assist the Border Patrol. So when they have a mission, part of that grant fund is we support their mission. So if their mission changes in the sense that, listen, today we want to do something different, which that does happen. They want to operate in a different location. They want to target a specific area. They want to do things in a different capacity, overt, covert, those kinds of things. Then we make those adjustments. So we have a great working relationship with Border Patrol. And when those requests come, we make those changes to fall within the mission of Border Patrol, because at that point, that's who's we're working really for.
Okay. Chief Anderson, thank you. Mayor, thank you.
Chief, let me see if there's any other questions from the council.
Mayor?
Yes, Councilman Bro?
Chief, is this grant for the patrolman or is it for brass? Is it strictly for patrolmen?
So,
This particular grant?
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Rojas, that's a great question. We had in the past, I don't know, it was probably 2 years ago, there was that clause, that interpretation was that brass is no longer going to be able to work under the grant-funded monies due to interpretations legally. So no, brass does not work that. Only chip and it not exempt.
Thank you,
So
Chief.
that'd be our officers and sergeants.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Chief,
Thank you, Mayor.
I just want to say one thing. Over there close to where I live, the corner of between Bankers, Perkins, and Morley, there's about 10 lights that are out. It's very dark. At night, somebody walking there crossing the street can be run over. And it invites for illegal activities because you have your washes and everything else in that area. And then just in that area, there's I counted about eight street lights. Is it your department that addresses those issues to bring back those lights with Unisource?
Sorry about that. This is why I have a great command staff.
Good.
Tell me what I need to know.
Mayor and Councilman, Police Department, we usually refer those types of inquiries with concerns from everybody to Unisource, and we're more happy to do so. In fact, we have done so over the weekend, I believe, so one of our officers.
Oh, for that area?
For that
Oh,
area,
thank you.
Saturday or Sunday night, and that has been the case of Unisource.
Good. Thank you very much.
So it's
Appreciate
just a
it.
matter of waiting for Unisource to come out there.
Well, I noticed it because I drive by there and it's hard to see that area. So many lights are there. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay,
Mr. Mayor?
I think we...
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Mr. Grissom, just for, also for the next meeting, if you could put in there to discuss with Unisource about putting LED lighting instead of the usual lights that we have. You know, most cities are not going to LED lights. So if we could get a discussion, I already talked to Larry Lucero on it, and he said he'd love to have the person come over and discuss it. You're doing it in Tucson, of course you're doing it in Nogales, Sonora, and we'll see you in Guaymas also, right? So maybe that can solve the problem because some of those lights will last 15 years, right? And we can eliminate having to change them constantly, so if we could put that on the agenda.
Okay, that's that for... Well, that would have been for future agenda item.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go ahead. So we're done with number C.
Did we approve it?
We voted?
We haven't voted on
We haven't
C.
voted, okay. All right. Well,
I think we did.
I'll get...
We have a motion and a second, but you haven't approved it.
Yeah, we discussed it, yes, and so pretty much the chief gave us a good enlightenment there on the information. So I guess we'll just go ahead and call for the question. And all those in favor of approving order 2017-01-003, will you please give us your aye vote?
Aye.
All right. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, now we're down to city manager's report.
Mr. Mayor and Council, I've given you a written report on a lot of the activities. It's just illustrative, not everything. One thing I wanted to mention to you all, and I briefly mentioned it to you individually, I have been working with Joe so we can craft some language so that we can come up with a strategy to approach Senator McCain, Senator Flake, and our congressional delegation this month as soon as possible so that we can push to get the IBWC ownership language back on the WRDA bill, which was defeated in the House. So the bill will be coming back, but Senator McCain's office has indicated they're willing to reintroduce the language. But I think it's good. It's a good idea to have all of you meet with the senators and congressional delegation, push to get this in there, because if not, we're looking at least a $40 million bill to help with the rehabilitation of the IOI and ongoing expenses for the existence of the city.
Well, we'll send him another letter, because I just recently, he sent me a letter, and I went ahead and answered it back, and but we'll go ahead and get together. That went out of the mayor's office, but we'll get one from the mayor and the council.
Mayor?
And the city of Nogales.
Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
I was looking over here with Mr. Lucero. So what are you saying, that we go to this National League of Cities conference to talk to them? You're going to make appointments for us? Do we all have to go? You want us all to go? What are you asking?
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Barona, my suggestion is if we can meet with him in Phoenix, or any congressman in Phoenix, it's cheaper.
Yeah,
but if we wait until the league conference in March, that's too late. I think we need to hit them right now to make sure that the language is introduced, and hit them again in maybe February and at the league conference in March.
Okay. Can you go?
And we will schedule the appointments.
And you have to take us up on the shuttle and all of that?
We can arrange all that.
Yes, Vice Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, Carlos, I don't think we'll have a problem with that on the Senate side. I think the language will be introduced. The problem is on the House side, and I think we need to develop a strategy on working with our congressional delegation, especially on the Republican side, that's going to advocate on our behalf. And right now, unfortunately, our congressman is on the minority side, and it's not going to. It's going to be very difficult for him to push this cause on the House side. So we need to find some friends on the Republican side that are have some influence at a greater level than our congressman. So I would suggest that we develop a strategy on who within our delegation has the juice to get something passed through the House.
Mr. Mayor and Mr. Vice Mayor, to address that, we were fortunate enough that Congresswoman McSally actually on her own introduced actually stronger language that we preferred on the House side. So I think we have an ally there. We didn't even reach out to Congresswoman McSally, but I think we need to reach out to the entire Arizona delegation.
Right.
Because this impacts Pima County, Maricopa, Pinal County, Maricopa.
And the more voices we add to it, including, I believe, Mr. Chamberlain, being a member of Fresh Produce, and also Port Authority, Mr. Memo Valencia, we need to add those voices.
Yeah, she reached out because we reached out to her already on that same issue. So, but she was actively following that. I think Vice Mayor is correct. You need to work on the Republican side of the House. Senate's taking care.
So it's always that joint effort that helps the whole community, and we need to put our voices out there. So I guess pretty much thank you for the report, and
who would take
future agenda?
Who would take stride in trying to set up
Mr. Mayor and Council, once Joe and I have crafted some language that would benefit the city with a couple alternatives because of that $4 million question in there, then we'll contact all of you, find out what schedules are, and see when we can arrange some meetings. But we will take care of the arrangements. Okay. We may require that you make some phone calls because it's better to speak to.
We'll be working together.
But yes, we'll be working with all of you.
And again, I hope you guys continue to do the work you're doing out here in supporting the city of Nogales. So we're down to the future agenda items. I believe after Councilman Barona,
Yes, Mr. Mayor, but first of all, because of the of the sickness of the bar Hennessy. He's been throwing all of these germs out this way. Could you please keep me on the health insurance for a year so I can, okay? I don't want to have to pay for coming here healthy and walking out sick.
Okay. Well,
Getting back to Councilman Maldonado's point when we were talking about the retreat. I was thinking about this, and I think we just need to have a special meeting. We need to decide as all of us voicing our opinions and everything, in a special meeting just as one item. I want to know what we're going to do, what we're going to continue with, what's going to be the parameters for the city manager. I don't want to be working and then all of a sudden we're going to cut off, we're going to go in a different direction. If we want to go in a different direction, fine. But if we're going to develop a strategic plan, it's got to be with a consistent leadership. Right? So we need to express ourselves, what we want to do. I understand the contract runs out at the end of October. And if we want to go a different direction, it takes at least 6 months to go find another individual to replace that position. So I would just like to have, before we start getting into strategic planning, let's have a discussion of what we want to do as a group so that we have clear thoughts here. We can tell Mr. Van, these are our expectations. This is what we want you to do. This is the time frame that we're giving you to. You either produce them or we're going to move on in a different direction. But I don't want to be waiting in September and October and discussing this where he doesn't know what's going to happen. Nobody knows what's going to happen, and I want to send a clear signal to our community. This is what we're doing it with plenty of time. Also, Mr. Mayor, when you would like to do that in a week or two, but we need to get that clarified, hopefully by the end of the month. For future...
Did you want to put that on the retreat as an item?
Well, I'm really not asking for the retreat. I don't want to do the retreat. All I just want to have is a special meeting. If Mr. Rojas can be here by 4 o'clock, he gets out of work and if we can start the meeting at 4 o'clock here, and maybe Ms. Robinson can bring us some snacks or something with it, and we can just discuss it and say we're going to be here because it's going to take about 2 or 3 hours.
Yes, it will.
Just that one item on the agenda, it's not going to be like a 15-minute meeting. There's a lot of thought and commitment to this, especially with public policy statements and everything. So whenever you're ready, maybe Mrs. Robinson can call us and make it convenient for Mr. Rojas to be here. But I don't want to, let's start at 4 o'clock, or if he can be here at 3 o'clock, let's start here at 3 o'clock, or if he can be here at 2 o'clock, let's start here at 2 o'clock. Then, for the February 1st meeting, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Rivera, I'd like to have a report on the sales tax, the trend for the last 10 years up to December 31st of 2016. I want to start studying that to make sure, because I don't think we're going to have a pleasant experience this budget period, okay? And I just want to make sure that we all prepare, and I don't want to find out things in June or July, okay? We need to start preparing now what we want to do and start studying now. So I'd like to see a nice report on that. Mr. Machado, I would like to see on the agenda, if everybody, a part on the agenda that says mayor and council reports. You know, on our community college and our school board, and I noticed even today on the board, they'll have it where, I know it has to be current events, something that is actually current. But, I went to the Port Authority meeting, this is what we discussed. This morning I attended the Board of Supervisors meeting and spoke on the flood control on Western Avenue. I would like to see that, if you could add that.
That's permissible. That's permissible if that's what you want on the agenda.
Mayor, I think to give us an opportunity when we go to these meetings, you go to a lot of them, but we don't want to sit here in silence. We want to tell the people what we're doing and how we're getting involved. Even if we go to this congressional deal lobby, the people need to know. So I think we should add that on the agenda.
That's a good idea.
Mr. Machado, also, I would like to have an executive session to discuss the purchase, sale, or lease of real property. Also, an update on the public safety tax, including a review of the legislation. The public safety tax, the 0.25 quarter% sales tax that's supposed to go to public safety, and there was a 2,000 establishment in the budget that if this is their budget, I want to make sure that if we had 10 police officers and 10 firemen with all of this, that today there are at least 10 police officers and 10 firemen, according to the legislation.
When was that passed?
And 2000. Deputy will have it. Mrs. Robinson, I'm sorry, Mrs. Robinson, you can find that legislation that passed on the quarter cents.
They're getting that money.
Yeah, it's for public safety. The people approved the public safety sales tax. The first one in the history of Nogales after just the 1%. So if you could get that, so we can find out what is happening and everything's going there. And then I just
believe they're getting all of it.
February 1st.
Getting all of it.
I don't know.
Well, we get I think a little over $10 million in the city sales tax a year, and they get all of it. No, there's four. I think the budget is 4 and 6, 4 million and 6 million, which covers all of the.
I wasn't.
Just got 5 more questions.
Oh yeah,
I'm sorry, Doctor.
I was saying this
Please.
is the 5th time you've
Okay.
interrupted.
Okay.
Then, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Rivera, I also wanted to have a discussion among us here on the Western Avenue flood control there. I made a presentation there, and so they need to come over here, and the Board of Supervisors seem very receptive, but we need to make sure that we help the people there for flood control. And they spend a lot of money, but they're spending it out on the city. It's just like I told them when they brought up a concern today. I'm not here to ask for financial help for us. We already pay our taxes to the flood control district. At least invest that money here in the city of Nogales instead of just going over there because they're lobbying. The people are we need this bridge, the flood control, and they spend $10 million in one shot. We need to get some of that money back over here. There was an accident in the Monte Carlo street there. I think it's Baffert Drive by the Monte Carlo market. Some people are hurt real seriously. I want to make sure that something's been done over there because some of the constituents there have called me and they were expecting there to be lights or flashing lights or pedestrians. Can you just give me an update on that? Because I know that if there's a lawsuit on there or something.
Back down there, the last box and all that.
Also, I don't know if we have to have this as a formal deal, or maybe Mr. Rivera could just agree to this himself. But I would like for the city manager to provide us on one day of that day, every week, a weekly report of what's happening in Nogales and in the Nogales County. I mean, let's just say if we only meet a month or so, or this report for 2 months, I want to be kept abreast of what's happening, what issues you're facing in this. You know, like if you say every Friday by 5 o'clock, you're going to get this report of what happened from Saturday through Thursday, and you're going to get it on Friday. So that we know what's going on and kept current of what's going on besides that meeting. So we're not caught off guard with it. And also I'd like to have a travel policy for the people that we are responsible for. The city manager, the city magistrate, the city clerk, and the city attorney, a travel policy that anytime somebody travels outside the state of Arizona, that it has to be approved by the mayor and council, so that we're aware of that. We're only responsible for 4 people, and they're the top administrators. If they're going to leave the state of Arizona, we need to know that they're going to be gone. He said it's okay, and we know where they're at.
But you're referring to while they're on duty, or
Yeah, when they're on duty, they're
or
going
is
to go on
it,
official business.
or is it just their vacation time?
Oh, no, not
Dr. O'Donnell, is this an approval policy or just a notification policy?
Well, I just want to make sure whatever you want a policy that just says if you're going to travel on behalf of the city of Nogales outside the state of Arizona, that the council is to be notified that you are traveling outside in writing,
Okay.
at least, so that we know what's going on.
Okay.
And here again in my area, maybe Mr. Barcenas can give a report. There's a lot of lights out in my neighborhood. A lot, especially where the four-way stop is at, in the neighborhood, by the hospital there. There's a lot of lights out. I think, like Mr. Councilman Henesian's suggestion for cost savings, but we need to look at that issue of the lights, and let's get some lights on that are, feasible and cost effective, so we can put on more lights and it won't cost us a lot. But I think that's important, especially in my neighborhood, though. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you very much, Councilman Marona. We'll go with Vice Mayor Lucero.
I would like to, I was looking at meeting twice a month. That way we can address all the agenda items Mr. Varona is bringing to the council. Otherwise, we'll be here till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning of February 1st.
We need to have 3, that's okay.
If we could at least meet twice a month, that way we can get most of his agenda items taken.
Until we get him.
Till we start whittling them down till he's like 1 or 2.
That's a good idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else from the council?
Just the LED light.
The LED. Yes, Councilman Maldonado. Oh, sorry.
Mr. Mayor, then I need to have the question answered. Are we having a retreat or not? I've got staff working on gathering the information that was requested before, so do I tell them to stop?
Well,
Some of these you brought up.
That's a good point. I mean, I want to discuss at just one study session what we want to happen in the city manager position. Maybe we could have a retreat to discuss all these other issues, and maybe there'll be less to be discussed over here. If you can move some of these, or if you have other inputs, if anybody has anything else that you want to put on there, but just remember, we agreed just from 9 to 2, and we have a working lunch. I don't have a problem with doing that, and we can discuss some of the items that I brought there and make the presentation right there. But it doesn't, a lot of these aren't action, they're discussions. We just want to discuss things so that we know which way we're going and that we're all moving together in a positive solution direction.
I like
Mr. Mayor?
Thank you very much, Councilman.
And
Councilman
I know Mr. Dr. Varona, Councilman, is very concerned about my day, but I made sure that I have that day available, so I can get that day off.
Okay, let's do it then. Let's do that retreat.
So, Mr. Mayor, Councilman Marona, and Councilman Rojas, then what we'll do is we'll continue with gathering the data and preparing the presentations for those items. One other item I want to add is a session on the city charter.
Sure.
To make sure all the council members, especially Mr. Maldonado, are familiar with the charter provisions and what is and isn't allowable. So, and that way you can ask questions and get your copy there. So we're working on those, and we'll continue.
What are you planning on having them right here?
Well, we're not seen away from here, but
Yeah, to me, it would be better if we moved away from here, okay? Go to the Americana or something. Move away where we can just talk. I know it's still an open public meeting, but still, if we move away from here, you're not going to be distracted. We're over there and we can talk and they can.
we'll find the location and notify you.
Okay. A working lunch, and if anybody is not healthy, please don't show up to the meeting. You'll be sick.
In 3 weeks, it'll be you, Marcia.
Okay.
I got one more.
No more, any more comments from the Vice Mayor?
Mr. Rivera, on the thing for the police department, the mileage, that we do have a deadline, right? January 31st, I think it is.
Oh, for Silver, yes.
Just heads up on that one.
Okay, Vice Mayor,
And I'll be asking for a letter, like I said. I'll be going up to San Bernardino this weekend, and verbally, we do have that little baseball tournament from Little League confirmed verbally for another 3 years. Doing something good for Nogales.
The region, is that the Western region?
Western Regional Tournament. It is verbally confirmed for another 3 years. I'll be going up to San Bernardino this weekend, and I'll be writing a letter. I think we're all in favor of supporting that. Anything you guys want me to add into the letter? It's basically no commitment in money and all that with Western Regional. It's basically that the city backs up Little League and is willing to help out host that tournament. I asked for 20 years, but they told me the director wouldn't be there that long.
We're not going to be around 20 years.
Oh, no, but 3 years, I think it's they take it in 3 years increments, and I think we've done a great job in the community and it's helped out everybody. And all the feedback from the people that have come and visited Nogales, all the way from the people, the PD, fire department, everybody, they love the way we've treated them, and basically that tournament is ours unless we want to give it back. That's the word.
We have Vice Mayor there. I think he's getting tired of holding the pen up.
I'm going to just start interrupting, that way I can get my...
Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Just to follow up on Councilman Verona's retreat request, which also coincides with directing on where we're going to go with the county or the city manager. In preparing for the retreat, if you can get staff to focus on establishing benchmarks, because we in order to measure progress in the direction we're going, we got to know where we're coming from. So just make that part of the discussion.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, I'll sign that to my secretary. Oh, wait, I don't know.
Mr. Mayor, what Councilman Maldonado was saying about this tournament, I also... Now I want 2 years back on my office. I brought up with the Board of Supervisors that, it's a disgrace that all along the wash there, that's not paved, that from last year's heavy storms, all the toxic material is around that field, visible to all the out-of-town people. It's an absolute disgrace, and I asked them that they should spend time before this tournament to clean up that area and make it look decent and make our community look clean. I just think all of these years that I have it, it's the worst place to have kids playing with all that toxicity in that area. So I did bring that up.
Thank you, Councilman Barona, and I think we're going to have to...
And Mr. Mayor, just to add to that, Councilman Barona, when we had the joint meeting with the county, we had requested their assistance from flood control to clean a list of other washes. I don't think Alejandro's there. There he is. We had requested assistance from the county on that, and to date, we haven't received any.
Well, we need to put more pressure on them. And where's Mr. Wanguera? He went to sleep already. Okay. He was there, but we need to start pressuring them now for all of this, okay? Because the same thing, what happened with Mr. Machado, you were supposed to, when I was sitting up there, this meeting on the economic development, I want to follow up with them on there and see what you've come up with that, and tell them that we want to talk about setting up a meeting. It was supposed to be in February, but if you can have it earlier, we need to talk about economic development, how we're going to fund it, how we're going to participate, the protocols for it. We need to get all of that established, and we need to start telling them, this is what we want done in the wash. We're paying a tax, the people here in Nogales. We want to see some of that tax put to work over there.
You want to address it? Mr. Mayor, Councilman Barona, just to bring you up to speed, during the joint meetings that we had with the county, the final direction that staff received on both ends was that it would be a joint effort. The individual would be hired and be under the county, but the city and the county would pay 50-50. But we are awaiting an IGA from the county to move that forward, which I have yet to receive. So that's where it's at. That was the discussion that we had during the meetings. But as far as if the council wants to discuss it again or change that, we can schedule a meeting at any time if that's what you all desire. You want to say anything, Joe?
No. Well, there's another, I since you approached them, I think, I don't know if it's a sheriff's department or detention center, they have like a chain gang that also helps, I don't know if they're available or not, or you...
Part of corrections does.
Public corrections, okay. You can call them chain gangs?
I don't think they call them, but the sheriff's office doesn't allow the trustees to go out and do that. But Department of Corrections does. All we'd have to pay is hourly rate for the inmates, and I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, like 50 cents an hour plus the cost of supervision.
Minimum wage now.
Okay. Mayor?
It is.
I also want to say that it's been 35 years since I last sat here, and I really enjoyed this meeting. The respect that is exhibited by everybody, and we talk about ideas and we don't talk about personalities. It's been wonderful here, and I hope it can continue, that we eliminate personalities. We talk about issues, we talk about policies, and we set a clear direction for the city manager about what we want done, and we hold them accountable also to them. But it's been a great meeting, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to thank you.
Thank all of you for your input. I think that's the direction we're going to be going in. So thank you so much for putting your name out there. It takes dedication to throw your name into the ring when you're running for a public office. Congratulate all of you for the effort you've made and coming back and serving your community. Thank you so much. I think we're pretty much done. I don't know if I have a motion here.
Mayor, I just have a question. The definition of cleaning, as far as the wash is concerned, of what Dr. Bama asked, that you would ask the supervisors for in the county court. There was a group of business people who were concerned with the cleanliness right after the cement ends, and going forward to the north end of the city, actually to where the issue with the sewer line is broken to. So the issue was brought up to John Hayes at the time. This was about 5 years ago, and the issue was: is there a way to clean Are you talking about the garbage that's in there that is coming with every wash, or are you actually talking about cutting the trees that all the garbage is catching on? And the reason we brought that up 5 years ago, who the businessman was, and actually it was a group of the Fresh Produce Association was, because a lot of those, we had been investigating the bridges again, and some of the integrity of the bridges. So, and with some of the cars that had hit, and some of the other garbage that had hit during some of the floods. So when you ask the county, I mean, are you clarifying just to clean the toxic waste that's coming along and getting caught in the trees, or actually cutting the trees? The definition of what John Hayes said is that there was absolutely no way they could clean or cut the trees that was already there, because that is the only thing that stops the flow of that water. And why they would want it to stop, I never got that, but you may want to clarify that with the county before you get to that.
Well, that's why
If it could be all the trees and all the garbage, then you get away with anything getting stuck in there.
I think that's why you're addressing it to the flood.
Right.
So
we just need to have a discussion with them.
Yes.
That's the only way
That's right. Okay. I guess, do I have,
Move to adjourn.
yes, do you have it first and second to adjourn? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you. It was a pleasure last year. Seeing this.
Hey,